friends, welcome back. One of the many functions we talk about in algebra is going to be, one of the many, is going to be the absolute value function. And so this video is all about graphing absolute value functions. Go ahead, grab your notebook, write these notes down. So what this means is this k here at the end is going to shift your graph up or down. This h, which is attached to your x, is going to shift your graph left or right, but you got to be careful here. You have to do the opposite. And this A here is going to be your pattern. If your A is negative, it means that your graph is going to be opening downwards. If it's positive, it means that it's going to be opening up. Now, the parent graph of an absolute value function looks like this, just a V. Okay, looks just like that guy. So here's how we can manipulate these graphs. Let's practice that with a little bit of information here. So for our first one that we have y equals the absolute value of x plus 3. Now, based upon our notes here, we know that if it's not attached to the x, it's on the outside, it's going to be up and down. So this graph is going to be our parent graph, only shifted up 3, shifts up 3. The next one, y equals the absolute value of x minus 2. Now, this one is attached to our x, so we do the opposite. This is going to go in the positive direction too, which on your graph means it's going to go to the right too. For number 3, we have y equals 4 times the absolute value of x. This means that we are going to be stretching this graph so that it's super skinny. Super skinny. We're going to stretch it up by 4. So it's going to look something like this, real skinny like this, just a skinny V. If this is less than 1, so if it's like 1/2 or 2/3, it's going to be a little bit fatter going in the opposite direction. Okay, let's talk about how that works when we actually go to graph something. So if we take a look here at this guy, we have y equals 2 times the absolute value of x minus 3 plus 4. Now, what we can do is we can shift this graph in the positive direction 3 and up 4. And then we know our multiplier is going to be 2, so we're going to go over 1 up 2, over 1 up 2, so it's going to stretch up 2. So we could just go ahead and graph it just that way, but you can also plug and chug, do an XY chart and figure out what your numbers are going to be. So that's what I've done here. We need to pause the video and take a look at the math, follow along on the math there. I started, but with my XY chart, you can't just pick any old X. You've got to pick X's that make sense, because remember, the parent graph of this is a V, and you want to be able to pick the vertex of your V, and then whatever happens on one side is going to happen on the other. So taking a look at this graph, 2, 6, 1, 8, 0, 10. Let's talk about what that looks like. So we go over 2, up 6. We go over 1, up 8. And over 0 up 10. Now, when we go back and we look at this, remember, our graph is shifted to the right 3, positive direction 3, positive direction 4. That's actually our vertex. So our vertex is going to be 3, 4. So if you look at this graph, we go over 1, 2, 3, and up 1, 2, 3, 4. So now, knowing that this is our vertex, then this guy right here is our axis of symmetry, because whatever happens on one side is going to happen on the other. So if I'm plugging and chugging numbers, 1, I have to know where my vertex is. That's vitally important. And 2, whatever happens on one side happens on the other. So I can copy that over just like this and see over 2. And sure enough, if I were to plug in 4, I would get 6. If I were to plug in 5, I would get 8. So hopefully that helps you understand graphing these absolute value functions, and we'll see you next time.